Hi folks, now we're going to go through and remember we clamped this up and we let it sit for a little bit, and now we're going to go through and see how it turned out. The Frozen Woodworker is a production of Frostbite Furniture, and today is brought to you by clamps, because we like clamps. So it's just a simple matter of removing the clamps. I like to take the pressure off of them kind of evenly top to bottom. I don't know if it's that terribly important, but it's kind of my, I don't know, say procedure or my habit, or I'm not quite sure what you would call it, but it's the way I do it, and it seems to work. I'm going to get rid of some plastic. Okay, we did get a little bit of glue on the face, but we'll be able to clean that up pretty well. We got a lot of glue to wipe off since I really didn't worry about squeeze out at all, but we'll take care of that. As you can see, it turned out fairly well. We're going to end up running this board through the joiner on both sides, and that'll take care of any little squeeze out or any problems like that. First, I'm going to take a scraper. I'll scrape off the excess glue out, squeeze out the little bubbles right here. But then we'll run it through the joiner and it will make that nice and smooth. And sometimes it's a little bit sketchy to use, but I'll often just use a paint scraper on this because it seems to, when it's just these little bubbles, it takes it off really nice. Yeah, you want to keep it fairly low pressure, not very aggressive. If you hit it too hard, then you can have a lot of wood tear out. That's the biggest thing you're trying to avoid. Let's start assembling this now. I want to knock all the sawdust out. And I want to kind of assemble, or kind of get pretty much everything we're going to need all together here before we start assembling this. I'm going to go grab some clamps. As you can see, I grabbed the glue, I grabbed some dominoes. Everything's going to be fairly close by. That way we're prepared to do this glue up, and everything we need will be readily available on hand. We won't have to stop and look for tools and stuff. Alright, so here we go. One more thing, a little rubber mallet. I might not need it, but I like to have them around. Okay, so put a little glue in each of the slots. And I try to, when I put it in here, kind of smear it around the top. That way, as the domino gets pushed in, it kind of grabs the glue and all the faces get glue on them. And you don't always have to tap them in, but sometimes just, that's a lot of glue up to do, so sometimes it's a bit faster to just get tapping. Just tap, 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 tap. Can't remember what we were talking about the other day, but something about, we're trying to, oh yeah, it was over this weekend here, we were doing some siding on my house. And it kept coming up that we had to just kind of tap it in. And I joked with my buddy that was helping us out that kind of reminded me and made me think of like Happy Gilmore. I don't know if you guys remember that scene, that kind of just tap it in, tap it in. And yeah, it was kind of silly, but yeah, sometimes when you're doing these long, monotonous kind of jobs like this, you gotta be a little silly and be okay with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, as you can tell, I'm not looking super close to perfect the matching on all this. These boards actually were quite good anyhow. There was a couple of them that were a touch redder than some of the others, and a touch that were just a little whiter than the others, but all in all, they're a pretty good match. So I'm going to kind of just put them up randomly, because sometimes, at least to me, it seems when a person goes and tries to match them but does a poor job, it's almost looks worse than if they don't try at all. And sometimes just a little bit of randomness to it. I think that looks nice. It ends up working out well in the long run. Okay, I'm just doing the same thing here. I'm putting a little glue around the hole. A little bit of glue on the face, even though in all reality, this face grain to side grain glue up really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot for us. Okay. Now for the harder one. A little glue there, little glue there. I suppose I could be just as well be putting the glue on the dominoes instead of up here, and in some ways that might smear it a little better. But for whatever reason, putting it on the mortise rather than on the tenon just kind of got to be, I don't know, I guess you could say my system, kind of my go-to. Little trick, when you're doing something up by yourself and you gotta hold it up, put a clamp like that. That way, it's not as tippy. The clamp, I mean, as you can see, I didn't even squeeze it in or crank it in or anything. But that's a good way to hold a workpiece kind of upright like this if you're working by yourself. There's the mallet. It's one problem with the shop being kind of a mess at the moment is you never know where anything is, and you're always at risk of grabbing the wrong darn stuff. It slipped up here a little bit, I think. And we're going to get one on each end to get it started. And this time all I'm using is these really simple F-style clamps here. They're actually just the cheapies from Harbor Freight. It's one of the few Harbor Freight tools that I really like. You may have seen on my tool review for it, I do got a Harbor Freight big sander, but if you watch the tool review on it, it works okay and stuff, but I'm not totally impressed with that. And these are okay, but they are not the very best things in the world by any means either. But for some light clamping and where it's not too critical, they do their job. Well, we've let this sit in our clamps for a little bit. As you can see, I already kind of came to loosen the clamps, and I got rid of the wooden clamps because, well, I was packing up for a job, to go to a job site, and we needed the clamps. So I had to take them off a little bit ago. What we needed to do next is essentially we're going to glue these in the place right here. Glue these outside frames. I noticed when we were kind of dry fitting them that there's a couple places that there's just a little bit of glue down in here. So I'm going to take my chisel, it's got a nice square corner, and I like to drag it backwards and just to scrape off the little bit of glue that's in there. Okay, I did it on that. Now I'm also going to do it on these pieces here. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a good liberal amount of glue in there. I spread it out all over the place, making sure to really get well on where it comes up here on the cheek, the shoulder of that, and then also up on the shoulder on this one. So that way, it'll every surface has good glue coverage. We're going to put this in here, and making extra certain that these little lines right here where the two pieces come together, and we'll flip it over and we'll look at the other ones. We want to make sure those are all very tight. Now all I'm going to use for now to put it together is just these F-clamps. Get this one nice and tight. And you might look at this and say, hey, that's really not enough. And well, it probably is actually enough. But for aesthetic reasons mostly, I'm going to go and drill a couple of holes in this afterwards and then put in some plugs of some contrasting colored wood. Okay, and if you're looking really close, you might notice that my ends stick out a little bit here. And that was actually done on purpose. That was done on purpose, so that way I can go afterwards and I can just run a saw over the outer edge. This clamp is not agreeing with me today. But so I can just go over the whole outer edge, cut the whole side square, and that way everything will line up just perfect. So I can put this up on here, and now this is ready to sit for a little while longer. Let this glue dry. As usual, the glue's got to sit for, I like to sit for a half hour or so. It'll probably sit till tomorrow because we got some other things to do the rest of the day. But tomorrow we'll come back, we'll square off these corners, we will build the bracket that goes along the edge of the wall that the hinge is attached to, and we'll get stayed in this thing. Alright, we'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to check out any more, please feel free to like our videos. Please subscribe. We love subscribers. And check out the rest. Thanks. Bye-bye.